Responsibility. Responsibility. Ability to respond. Truly not a moral obligation to behave correctly towards or in respect of. Not a thing that one is required to do as part of a job, role, or legal obligation. And not even the state or fact of being accountable or to blame for something. Plain and simple, responsibility. The opportunity or ability to act independently and make decisions without authorization before morality or obligation, before the correct or incorrect, respect or disrespect, before any requirements, before any accountability, and most importantly, blame. Responsibility simply means the ability to respond. Responsibility, when looked at as a concept expressed by relational system of attribution in terms of an expectation of an act or its result, leads to an understanding that in order to be responsible or to take responsibility for something or someone means that somebody is obliged to or against an addressee for actions, results of actions, tasks, and states of affairs, and that he or she has to justify these actions and results before or in the face of a judgment according to standards, criteria, or norms. A responsible person has to justify his or her actions. He or she has to be answerable, responsible in the narrow sense, i.e. accountable for them. Because of this understanding, we find ourselves in a position of making decisions and evaluations as to which things do we believe we are responsible for and which ones we are not. We begin to feel we have a responsibility for certain things, and yet for others we do not. Being fully responsible is to be fully conscious. To consider to be your body is what you have gathered through ingestion. What you consider to be your mind is what you have gathered through 5 senses. What is beyond that which you did not gather is who you are. Being alive is being conscious. Everybody is conscious to some degree, but when you touch the dimension beyond body and beyond mind, you have touched that which is the very source of consciousness. You realize then that the entire universe is conscious and you inhabit a living cosmos. Responsibility does not mean taking on the burdens of the world. Does not mean accepting blame for things you have done or not done. It does not mean living in a state of perpetual guilt. If you decide, I am responsible, you will have the ability to respond. If you decide, I am not responsible, you will not have the ability to respond. It is as simple as that. All it requires is for you to realize that you are responsible for all that you are and all that you are not, all that may happen to you and all that may not happen to you. This is not a mind game. This is not a self-help strategy for easy living. This is not a philosophical theory. This is a reality. Your physical existence is possible only because of your body's seamless ability to respond to the entire universe. If your body wasn't responding, you wouldn't be able to exist for a moment. Do you see that? What has happened is that you have associated 2 things that are not actually one and the same because of these definitions, misinterpretations and misguidance, some conscious and some not, some on purpose and some not. responsibility and action that represents the response, not the act of responding itself, became one and the same. An evaluation of the action is being judged as responsible or not. My responsibility is limitless. My action is limited. Wise words spelled out by Sadhguru. I'm accountable for my well-being. I'm accountable for the well-being of others. I'm accountable for the human impact on earth. I'm accountable for the life that is happening. This notion may seem radical, and one may find themselves asking, how am I accountable for other people do? What other people do? You cannot control other people's behaviors. But when you take responsibility for it, you have the power to affect people in a way that does influence their behavior. If someone has a penchant for anger accompanied by disregard for others, and you show them kindness and compassion, they will forever be changed. This isn't to say that they will be reformed on the spot. More likely, the kindness you showed them will contribute to their growth, which has no expiration date. We may not always be aware of it, but our attitudes, thoughts, and behaviors are affecting and being affected by others around us. My responsibility becomes limitless. I have a finite mode. There are limitations on what I can spend my time on and the methods I can use. It is not reasonable to assume I can clean up all of the trash in world's oceans, but I can be mindful of the waste I create and arm myself with the knowledge of how it accumulates. My behavior will indirectly impact those who I encounter, resulting in more people becoming aware. All changes start off with a single thought before they become the grandest of manifestations. Since my actions are limited, it becomes ever more important to focus my effort mindfully. My actions are limited, but this does not take away from my limitless responsibility. It is when we assert judgment and morality that action and responsibility become one. An action which describes the act of responding becomes evaluated and polarized. The act itself is neutral. The assessment and the evaluation of the action become polarized. Being in control of how you respond to life, to death, to change, is incredibly freeing, for you are no longer bound by emotional reactions that can cloud and constrict your vision. The most common and typical of the first reactions that occurs through life is anger. And anger is only self-defeating. If you are responsible, there's nothing that can stop you except for you. There's no longer a desire to blame anyone or anything. You are a victim no more. You are now the author, the creator of your life. Will everything happen exactly the way you imagine it? Absolutely not. Sometimes it will be even beyond your wildest imaginations. However, the ability to respond given to you is always there. As long as you're conscious and aware, you are breathing. The next move is your response. Sure, there are infinitely many stories as to why we got here and how and why is it your time to respond. But that next move, your response, only you can imagine what that will be. Will you be serious and all about you and your business? Or will you be free and playful?